I was looking over the questions that you wrote down, and this question: are Filipino Americans task oriented or people oriented?
Okay, we can talk about those. Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting because I'm definitely more task oriented, and my wife, who's very Filipino, is more people oriented.
Mhm.
But I do think that's kind of like putting a whole group of people onto one camp. I'm pretty sure that there are task oriented Filipinos. But in general, I think that for me, at least in my experience, Filipinos in general are more people oriented.
More people oriented.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's a lot of Filipino nurses. We just kind of fit that job.
Yeah.
Very socially warm people, I suppose. What do you think?
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned about the nurses, because I just remember that Filipinos also do a lot of. They're also maids, also in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're saying that Americans, like if you're more American, you become more task oriented.
Well, I think in general, American culture, you tend to be more task oriented. Again, this is kind of painting with a broad brush, right? Because not all Americans are task oriented. There's a lot of, we don't really know the statistics, but it seems like, at least for this culture, comparing to Filipino culture, it seems like American culture would be more task oriented than people oriented.
Okay.
Like even in the way we define success is like how much stuff have you done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was talking with Sarah yesterday, or not yesterday, a few days ago, about this question. I was asking her if she thinks Filipinos are people oriented or task oriented, and she told me that she's seen like a mix, or she's seen like half where Filipinos can be task oriented, and then there are Filipinos who are people oriented. There is one organization she talked about, Crew Philippines. She said that they're more task oriented. So she's seen that side of task oriented Filipinos. But I think something interesting is that Crew Philippines is also from America, or like it's a branch of an American organization. Mm-hmm. So that DNA may have that mindset may have came into the Filipino branch. But I think after that conversation, it sounds like Filipinos in general are not task oriented or people oriented. They're like a half.
Sorry, I think if you put it this way, right? If you like, for example, pit those two together, like would Filipinos wait for someone before they start something or before they go somewhere? Let's say you agree to meet at like 1:00 in the afternoon. A task-oriented person would start at 1:00, right? A people-oriented would like wait, even if it means like waiting 1 hour or 2 hours, right? Like I feel like in American culture, that's just like, it's rude to do that. We're branching off in the area of like how we perceive time, but for Filipinos, they would rather wait than start in general.
Yeah. So I was gonna say that, like Sarah said, it's like half, but I think in my experience and in what I've seen, I kind of think that they're more people oriented, just because what you said about waiting for someone during a meeting, and also like I think Filipinos are more collectivist, so I think that collectivist mentality can also come into the being people oriented. So I guess that also translates into Filipino Americans. At least the first generation Filipino Americans, they seem more people oriented, and then I think it kind of creeps into the second gen.
What about you, Henrik? Are you task oriented or people oriented?
I'm definitely people oriented.
You are?
Yeah. Because, well, I don't know. It's like in engineering, I'm task oriented, but then when I'm like at church, I'm people oriented. It's weird. It's like in my job, I'm more like getting the task done, but then, or like at least in the academics, when I make friends, it's usually because I'm like, hey, let's study together, because it's like there's a task that we're trying to do. But then when I come to church, like if I have a like kind of what you said, like if we have a meeting, I kind of wait for people before having the meeting, or like if it's if I give a task to someone and then they don't do it, I'm not like overly, I guess I'm not really like trying to get them to get the job done. I guess like I care about my relationship with them too.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of weird. It's like I'm different depending on the context.
Is that a Filipino thing, being very adaptable?
I don't know. Do you think Filipinos are task oriented when it comes to the workplace?
I think it depends. Filipinos are very adaptable in the sense that, like, if they end up working in an American company where there are strict rules, yeah, they can adjust, I think. But in general, if you give them the opportunity to choose, they'd rather be late. You know, or they'd rather not late in the sense that like they don't care, but I don't know, it seems like Filipino Americans in general are more people oriented.
So they're like more, they like to be more flexible with the time.
Yeah, flexible. Yeah, not too rigid with the time. I think that's kind of part of being not task oriented. If you're task oriented, then you have to be rigid with the time. There's just no way around it.
Yeah.